You're born in a nest made of sticks, bones, and trash. Not poetic trash, literal garbage. Bottle caps, cigarette butts, somebody's lost toothbrush. That's your crib. And you're not alone. 2, maybe 3 siblings, all screaming, all starving, all equally ugly. Welcome to Raven childhood, where survival means being loud, being fast, and hoping mom doesn't feed the one next to you instead. You can't see, can't fly, can't defend yourself. Your only skill? Yelling, constantly. Because in the Raven world, silence equals starvation. Your parents are smart, genius-level birds actually, but they don't have time for weaklings. If food's short, someone's getting skipped. Or worse, shoved. Because here's a fun fact. Sibling rivalry for ravens isn't just petty, it's lethal. And you're already falling behind. By day 3, the nest already feels like a war zone. Your siblings aren't just hungry, they're desperate. Beaks fly, wings slap, one of them scores a piece of regurgitated rat meat, and suddenly it's a full-on cage match. You lunge for it too late and catch a claw to the face. Nobody apologizes. In fact, mom barely notices. She drops the next bite in front of whoever's squawking loudest. So, you start squawking louder. Louder than you thought possible. Your throat's raw, your lungs are on fire, but you scream like your life depends on it. Because it does. And while all this is happening, you're growing. Crookedly, your feathers come in patchy, your balance is trash, and your legs feel like they were built by someone half paying attention. You're a black puffball with attitude issues, teetering on a pile of stolen debris and bird poop. At night, it gets cold, real cold, so you huddle close to your siblings, the same ones that tried to choke you with their beaks 10 minutes ago. Because in this nest, love and violence share a blanket. Day 10. You've figured out 2 things. 1, gravity hates you. 2, so do your siblings. You're finally big enough to shuffle to the edge of the nest, but not smart enough to realize how far the ground is. You watch one of your brothers test his wings too early and belly flop into a bush below. He doesn't bounce. Your parents? They don't even flinch. That's nature's way of editing the weak out of the script, so you play it safe. You wait, you watch, you memorize. Because while ravens are born chaotic, they're not stupid. You've got a brain built for schemes, mimicry, and social games. But none of that matters if you don't survive the next 2 weeks. And just when you think you've made progress, here comes another challenge. Leaving the nest. Soon you'll have to jump, on purpose, and pray the wind doesn't humiliate you in front of the crows. But before we push you off that edge, take a second to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because unlike a baby raven, at least you have a safety net. And then it happens. The jump. You don't fly, you fall with enthusiasm. Your wings flap like a broken umbrella in a wind tunnel. Somehow, against all odds, you land on a branch. Not gracefully, more like a sack of feathers hitting wood. But hey, you're alive. That counts. Now the world opens up. You see trees, sky, predators, and, wait, humans. Strange, dangerous, shiny creatures who either feed birds or shoot them. You can't tell which yet. You spend your days learning to steal, beg, and manipulate. That's right, ravens are con artists. You mimic other animals, fake injuries, and trick your siblings out of food. You're not just surviving now. You're strategizing. But don't get cocky. One bad move, one missed landing, and you're back on the ground where cats, foxes, or a bored eagle might end your career before it begins. There's no applause for surviving your first flight, just hunger, windburn, and your dad yelling at you from a higher branch like you're supposed to be grateful he didn't let you die. This is raven life, a constant grind of falling, flapping, and faking it till you make it. By week 5, you're expected to act like an adult. Not because you're ready, but because no one's waiting. Your parents are done babying you. Food drops are less frequent, lessons are harsher. You're forced to watch them break into trash bins and steal shiny things from parked cars like winged pickpockets. You're supposed to copy that. But here's the kicker. Ravens aren't just thieves. They're performers. Everything you do is part show, part scam. Want food? Pretend you're injured near a picnic. Need help? Call like a hawk and let the chaos work in your favor. You're not just surviving anymore. You're manipulating the ecosystem. But even genius has limits. One wrong move and you'll find yourself swooping into a trap set by humans who don't appreciate your recycling efforts. Or worse, crash into a window that looked like open sky. Intelligence doesn't always mean common sense, so you keep pushing, keep learning, and every day the sky gets a little more familiar and a little more unforgiving, because being born smart doesn't guarantee survival. It just gives you better ways to fail. Now that you've earned your feathers, the pressure only gets worse. You're no longer a cute, clumsy chick. You're expected to be useful. Your parents stop feeding you entirely. No warnings. One day the food just stops, and you're left staring at an empty beak like, was it something I said? You start shadowing adult ravens, hoping they'll teach you the ropes. They don't. They just glare and fly off, often with something shiny in their claws. You quickly learn ravens don't do mentorship. They do competition. Everyone's a rival. Even your own siblings will sabotage you if it gets them closer to a half-eaten sandwich. But worst of all, the sky isn't yours yet. Hawks, owls, eagles, airborne nightmares that see you as a snack. You can outthink them, sure, but outfly them? Not yet. So you keep low, keep quiet, and pray you don't look too delicious. This isn't freedom. It's exposure. No nest, no safety, no backup. Just you, your beak, and whatever trick you haven't used yet. And you thought high school was brutal? Try growing up as a raven in a world that's smarter than it looks, and meaner than it sounds. Eventually, you find your rhythm. You steal without getting caught. You lie without getting pecked. You even mimic the bark of a dog just to watch squirrels panic. It's not survival anymore. It's strategy. But don't get it twisted. This isn't power. It's pressure. Ravens live long, decades, if they're lucky. And with long life comes long memory, yours and everyone else's. You remember who tried to starve you in the nest, who shoved you off a branch, who took your food, and they remember you too. Grudges in Raven society don't fade. They fester. So, every flight, every theft, every squawk is a chess move. One wrong bluff and you're exiled from a feeding ground. Annoy the wrong elder? You're blacklisted from the next carcass drop. You live in a city of minds. Clever, cruel, calculating minds, all wrapped in glossy black feathers. It's like high-stakes politics, but with beaks. You thought intelligence was a blessing. Turns out, it's just one more tool for social warfare. And the smarter you are, the more you suffer when the world doesn't play by your rules. And just when you think you've mastered the game, nature laughs in your face. A sudden storm wipes out half your territory. The tree where you cached food? Gone. Washed into a ditch. You flap through freezing rain, feathers soaked, brain buzzing with hunger and regret. Because ravens don't just eat when they're hungry. They plan for hunger. You've buried food across the landscape like a paranoid squirrel with wings. But now the landscape has changed, and your brilliant little stash is compost. You turn to your friends, but friendship in raven society is transactional. No food, no help. You try begging, but you've burned bridges. Mimicry, manipulation, memory, all turned against you. What's left? Scavenge, beg, gamble. You find yourself eyeing a crow's lunch, calculating whether you can snatch it and survive the backlash. You miss the nest, the trash, even the pecking. At least back then, someone had to feed you. Now, you're on your own. Smart birds don't starve less. They just starve strategically. Time passes. You've made it. Sort of. You're no longer just a chick flailing through the wind. You're a full-fledged raven. Sharp eyes, sharper mind, and a reputation to match. You've survived storms, starvation, betrayal, and your own bad decisions. But here's the joke. None of it gets easier. You're just better at hiding the struggle. You build alliances now, trade favors, cache food in secret, and occasionally betray someone before they betray you. Because ravens don't trust. They track. Who shared? Who lied? Who vanished when the hawk showed up? You're not living, you're negotiating. Every day, every peck, every meal, you've become exactly what the wild demands. Ruthless, brilliant, and just paranoid enough to stay alive. And what's your reward for all this effort? A moment of peace on a high branch? Maybe. A shiny trinket no one else noticed. Or the simple fact that today, you didn't get played. Because out here, survival isn't about strength. It's about remembering what everyone else forgot, and using it before they remember first. Years pass. You've outlived the odds, outsmarted your enemies, and outmaneuvered even your own kin. You know every rooftop, every hiding spot, every weak human with a habit of dropping fries. You're no longer surviving, you're dominating. But it doesn't feel like a victory. You watch the next generation crash into your world. Awkward, loud, clueless, just like you once were. They make all the same mistakes, jumping too soon, trusting too much, dying too fast. You could help them, teach them, but you don't. That's not how the system works. Nobody taught you. Why should they get it easier? So you sit on your perch, feathers slick with rain, a scrap of foil in your beak, your latest prize. You could be anywhere, doing anything, but you're here, still scavenging, still scheming, still remembering. And suddenly, you realize, being born a raven isn't about the cleverness or the wings, or even the survival. It's about what it costs you. How much of your kindness, your softness, your peace you have to give up just to stay one step ahead. You don't laugh anymore. You calculate. Because in the end, being born a raven doesn't just suck. It changes you. Now tell me, if you were born a raven, what would you have done differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments, if you're clever enough.